To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com. Listen up, people. We got a big favor to ask, and we promise it won't take too much of your time. You know our show is supported by some fantastic sponsors, right? Well, we'd love to hear your feedback. Head to ESPNPodcastStudy.com and fill out a short, anonymous survey. That's it. We swear. No more. Again, that's ESPNPodcastStudy.com. Good Monday morning, everybody. Welcome into another edition of Golic and Wingo. Glad you're with us on ESPN Radio and ESPN2. We are presented by Progressive Insurance. All phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Mike Golic Jr., Trey Wingo here. So, simple question. Did you guys have a good weekend?
Yes, it was a good weekend. Started off Friday. Remember our winner, our V Foundation
Absolutely.
winner for Jennifer was here.
Yep.
And her and the friend she brought, they came over to Mike's house for the barbecue. And we learned you can't play can jams, Mike. You and Allie stink.
That was a rough day of lawn games for us there.
It was. I was great at Jennifer and I were great at cornhole. We were 2-0.
Although I have to say the boards we used way too much bounce.
Let me ask you a question.
Suspect.
Let me ask you a question.
Yeah.
Did both teams use the same board?
Yes.
Okay then.
No.
I was 2-0.
I'm not saying that. All I'm saying is I think next time we won't want the trampoline
Sounded
effect.
like an excuse.
No, not taking an excuse.
Sounded like you broke your hand or something.
Did you? Well, we'll get into that a little bit later. I did have a soft cast that I was playing most of cornhole with. So we all had a good weekend.
Yeah.
But you have a loose understanding of the rules of cornhole at best.
What are you talking about? A golf well?
Me and Allie will explain it to you. Oh, yeah. You golfing well is an entirely new revelation.
So I don't even want to get into that because I played so poorly yesterday. I can't handle him being a good golfer right now. But let's be clear about one thing. Nobody had a better weekend than Alex Ovechkin.
No. Let me tell you,
he is running with the Bulls.
I read somebody tweeted at one point, "Hey, act like you've been there before." And before I could respond, SVP gave the proper response, basically saying, "Are you nuts?
Yeah, shut up."
You know, the first one they've won, and you enjoy it, and that dude is enjoying it to the absolute fullest.
Again, one of the greatest things about when the Stanley Cup Finals are over is the journey the Cup takes in the offseason, because every player gets it for a day and a half span. I remember when the Rangers won, it went to every downtown bar in New York City. It ended up in the bottom of a pool somewhere. And, Alex Ovechkin slept with the Stanley Cup.
It's incredible.
Among the many other things he's done this weekend.
Nobody ever gets a do-over with a first pitch. And Alex Ovechkin got a do-over with the first pitch.
That's how good life is right now in our nation's capital. Yeah. He's rolling in it right now. Although I got to say, Trey, shocked. Yeah. Shocked that was where you went coming off this weekend, because when I heard pleasure and things going well, I thought for sure this is going to be a justified horse.
That's also true. I was going on the human element, but let's be clear.
It's a very human element to that. I mean, that's one place where horses and us collide.
Nobody is going to live a better life going forward than Justified.
We'll get
the
to
Triple
that.
Crown winner, which we will get to in a minute. By the way, it's also, I'm calling this today Devastation Monday.
Right?
Because we thought we might have a Game 5 in the NBA Finals. No. We thought we might be talking about a Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Finals. No. And now we have the possibility of Cleveland being devastated again with what LeBron is going through, which we will get into. No. And we might have devastation in Anaheim as well for our guy, Shohei Ohtani. So, listen, as Mondays are usually bad, this Monday could be really bad on a lot of levels for a lot of people. Although it's revolutionary for me.
Oh, God.
Here it is. I see Junior all the time wearing the old iPod buds.
Yeah, the earbuds.
And I decided, well, I'll try it just to see how the
to
other
have
half
something
lives.
in each ear.
I thought maybe it might help me understand his scorching hot takes and conspiracy theories.
Oh, that's
a little
why
better.
you did it?
I'm trying to get into the mind of Junior. I don't know if that's ever going to happen, but I'm trying. Do
you like him so far? The two earbuds? Oh,
game changer.
Wow. Trey's literally just been sitting around in the studio all morning before the show just muttering, "This is a game changer" to himself. And don't worry, Trey, people on Twitter love this, so you're going to get a lot of support.
I'm sure. I'm sure they'll be all over this in a very positive way, because Twitter is nothing but a positive river of positive thoughts and happiness. It's never a torrent of negativity in any way, shape, or form. All right, let's start. Oh, the music sounds so much better through 2 ears. I can't even begin to tell you.
Unbelievable.
The Mets avoided a sweep and snapped an 8-game losing streak by topping the Yankees 2-0 on Sunday Night Baseball. Seth Lugo tossed 6 dominant innings in a stellar spot start.
Yeah, he had a big night, no doubt about it. For the Yankees, Aaron Judge sat out the game. In the Friday game, what was it, sliding into second? He jammed his thumb, and he stayed in that game. He played again Saturday, but held him out Sunday because day was going to be an off day, so put 2 together for him. But the Mets, avoid that sweep, but Yankees still up on top of that division. They've been battling back and forth with Boston, while Mets, 7.5 back, and we just, their pitching staff, again, as we've talked about, injured time and time again. So it was nice to see a good outing by a pitcher for the Mets that, hasn't been hurt yet.
Yeah, they brought Judge into the 8th inning to pinch hit to try and see if they could manufacture something at that point. And, I mean, you look on the other side, Luis Severino, great night for him. Yeah. They just couldn't get anything in support of him there. So for the Mets, it's the story of their season. This has been a roster that has 17 different guys on the DL at some point. It's hard to go out there and win at this level without it. And listen, if you're the Yankees now, people are going to talk a lot about them potentially looking at DeGrom and Syndergaard. Right. The Mets aren't going to deal one of those guys across town to the Yankees.
No, that's never happening.
They're going to have to look elsewhere, but it was fun to talk about for a weekend.
Well, the other thing that's interesting in classic Mets, even when they win a game and snap their 8-game losing streak, they release Adrian Gonzalez. I mean, it's just been a disaster since he got there, mired in a 1-for-19 slump.
Yeah, good thing for them is they were only paying like $450,000 of it. The rest of the $21 million was being paid by Atlanta.
Yikes.
Oh my God.
Although for the Yankees, good news in the fact your record through 60 games right now. Saw this. The Yankees, who I think are 42-19, something around there, but their record through 60 games had been the exact same as the Houston Astros of last season through 60 games and the Chicago Cubs of 2016 through 60 games. So in predictive stats, they are your eventual 2018 World Series champions.
And this is why I wear the headphones the way Junior does, because I'm with you. All right. Dustin Johnson is going to head in to the U.S. Open this week at Shinnecock as the number 1 ranked golfer in the world, thanks to his dominant win and a hole out for an eagle, a 4-under 66 on Sunday to win the St. Jude Classic, his second PGA Tour victory this year and 18th of his career.
Now, the only thing you would say is, is this like the par 3 tournament at the Masters?
Yeah, a lot of people take off the week before the Open.
Do not win the par 3 at the Masters because nobody has ever won that and then won the Masters. No player has ever won the U.S. Open after winning the previous week's PGA Tour event. So that basically puts Dustin Johnson, who has the best odds now, the betting bets, to win. He's out. The world's top-ranked player, and Dustin Johnson now regained, he's number 1 in the world.
Right.
World's top-ranked player has not won the U.S. Open. The world's top-ranked player has not won the U.S. Open since Tiger Woods in 2008 at Torrey Pines. And in fact, the only other top-ranked player to win a major in the last 10 years was 2014 PGA Championship, and that was Rory. So being ranked number 1 isn't doing a whole lot of good in the majors.
Yeah, sounds like it's kind of working against him. Good news is if you're into hitting fairways, that'll actually kind of help you in this upcoming tournament. And DJ seemed to have a pretty solid job of doing that in this last tournament.
I might as well play the U.S. Open then the way I was hitting fairways. Seriously?
Yeah, it was that bad? He played that well?
It was night and day, Trey.
My new Tommy
I've never
Armour
seen anything
clubs.
like it.
Tommy Armour, love you.
I can't handle this.
Smoking
I can't
the
handle
ball.
this.
Was I in every fairway?
Let me tell you what, Trey, if he brings this to Pinehurst, this is going to be very unsettling. Because for me, I don't care. I know I'm bad at golf. I know you spend a lot of time with this. You fancy yourself a pretty good golfer. You enjoy it. If you get shown up by him at Pinehurst, just know that is going to be the rest of the summer of shows.
It'll be the rest of my life. I'll have to deal with that shame. Because I couldn't hit a fairway. I hit 4 fairways yesterday. Now, everything else was great. I couldn't hit a fairway to save my life. If you show up and start out driving me,
it's going to happen.
That may be the end of me in every way, shape, or form. Well, there are guys that are good at something, and then there's Rafa Nadal. Rafa Nadal has now won 11 French Open championships as he takes down 7-seeded Dominic Thiem in straight sets, 6-4, 6-3, 6-2.
So Trey, you're more of a tennis guy than I am. Now, I heard somebody say this, and I had to scoff a little bit, that said Nadal is now one of the greatest clay court players of all time. And I thought to myself,
now?
Wait a minute. What, one of?
He was about, let me go this way.
Yeah.
He became the greatest clay court player about 5 French Open titles
okay.
ago.
I mean,
what are you doing, man?
I couldn't jump in right away because I'm saying, wait a minute. Okay, I'm not a great historian of tennis, but I'm trying to think. I know Margaret
Do you know
Court.
Who said this?
No, I don't.
Okay. I know that person needs to stop talking about tennis forever.
Because we talk about 11 wins at this tournament. Margaret Court won the Australian Open 11 times, so she's right up there. And who was it? Martina Navratilova, Wimbledon 9 times. And some of the greats have obviously multiple times winning these events. But I thought, wait a minute, that can't be right.
No.
He's got to be the greatest clay court player of all time. Dude he's 11-0. He's played in 11 finals and won all 11 times.
Yeah, this is one of the unique parts of tennis is playing surfaces kind of vary. You have different Major League Baseball parks. You've got different surfaces in college football and different, the way different grounds are kept in the NFL. But in tennis, it seems so stark to where you can have this kind of otherworldly dominance that's so far weighted on this one surface. It's so strange because now he's three behind Roger Federer.
Correct.
In majors, Grand Slams, all time at 17 as opposed to 20, and yet it's so heavily weighted in this side that I can't help but think that skews perception, right?
Absolutely. A lot of people will point to the fact that up until the last couple of years, Federer actually had a losing record against Rafa on all surfaces, but he now has the winning edge on hard courts. But to your point, I mean, Roger has won 8 Wimbledons. That's his big one. But he has 12 in the other 3 majors. 11 of 17 have come on the clay court surfaces. That means he's only won the other ones. The other 3 majors, only got 6 of them. So you're right, it is skewed so differently. But here's the really interesting thing. 2017, Roger wins the Australian. Rafa wins the French. Federer wins Wimbledon. Rafa wins the U.S. Open. 2018, Roger wins the Australian. Rafa wins the French. We're setting up to a lather, rinse, repeat here again for the top 2 players in the world in tennis.
And I'm going to ignore the buzzer again and say the old guys.
Happy Monday.
The quote unquote old guys are getting it done. Nadal's 3rd career major since turning 30. He's a 4th player to do that.
Yeah.
It would be Rod Laver, Ken Rosewall, and Roger Federer. So it's pretty impressive for the older guys. Yeah.
What are we going to do in tennis when we lose these 2 in Serena?
Yeah.
What are we going to do?
It's going to take a while. And that was sort of the void that happened when Sampras and Agassi left, and that spawned Federer and Nadal. So hopefully the same thing will continue.
Give me another McEnroe.
Come on, there you go. Rafa Nadal was in the zone, by the way, at Roland Garros. In the zone, brought to you by AutoZone. Get in the zone, AutoZone. And congratulations, right. Justify is about to live his best life. Defied the odds all the way to achieving the Triple Crown and thus achieving immortality. He was a late bloomer, won the 150th Belmont Stakes by a length and 3/4 on Saturday, leading the way to give the sport its 13th Triple Crown winner, the second in 4 years, but also the second in 40 years. That's the most important thing we're talking about here with Justify.
And really an incredible wire-to-wire here. A side story, Gronkowski, the horse, and Gronk was there. The way it started the race, dead last going, okay, they may put this horse down, before the race ends.
Oh, my God.
And I know that went a little harsh, but we're going to get to more of that in a second. And then ends up taking second. Pretty impressive. But the last Triple Crown from that spot, again, the number one post. Last time that happened 45 years ago, Secretariat. And by the way, did you see the note on Secretariat?
Oh, yeah.
And Justify?
Yeah. Secretariat
would have beaten Justify in this race by 25 lengths. By 25 lengths.
Yeah, there's a great Twitter account called Super Sports of the 70s that puts stuff out there, and they had the picture that happened at the wire, which was Secretariat was the only horse in the frame. He won the 1973 Belmont by 31 stakes, and somebody on Twitter said, "Well, aren't we? But that was against inferior, competition. Horses are bigger, faster, stronger." I said, "Hold up now." Secretariat won a 2:24 flat. 2 minutes, 24 seconds. Put another way, he would have beaten Justify by 4 seconds, which is 25 lengths.
It's unbelievable.
Secretariat is the superhero of horses of all time.
9-figure stud fees this day and age, right? I mean, he'd be getting paid out the you-know-what for the you-know-what.
I want to get Brett in on this really quickly here about the highs and lows, how quickly it can change.
Yeah. Well, for an athletic career, there is no higher high than you have 3 competitions and then $75 million to have sex for the rest of your life.
Yep.
And no lower low than you suffer an injury and the
Yeah,
exactly.
There you go.
There is no middle ground.
I mean,
there really is no middle ground there.
That's a high and a low right there.
Would you sign, if you were in human sports, would you sign up for those stakes if you knew what the payoff could be on the top end?
No.
One bad injury, they're going to put you down, but if you win a title, you get to retire and have sex and get paid for that for the rest of your life.
The bad thing is the horse doesn't have a choice.
No, that's awful.
I'm just saying it's something to think about.
No, it's not.
It might be.
Isn't. As I said yesterday, Saturday, congratulations to Justify, who now can retire to the glorious life of unlimited horse sex.
Unbelievable.
On Twitter. So
I bet Swaggy P would take that.
What was that, extra $15 million for this race?
Yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
So let me put it this way. The owners of Justify never have to work another day in their life. So congratulations.
And Justify's just got to work.
Whatever, man. Yeah. I'm good. I'm over here eating this grass. Just let me know when it's time.
By the way,
just let me know when it's time.
We can talk all about the majesty in the 2 and 40 years, the Triple Crown. For me, 2 and 4 matters more than that. I am kind of the miser on that.
That's because you're a blinder.
Well,
you have your blinders on as a millennial. All you see is the current.
You have to pull in a bunch of unnecessary years in order to make your stat cool. I only need 4 years to make the proof on mine. So you tell me. I'm a minimalist when it comes to this, but. Think about it. We've turned the Triple Crown into nothing more than a glorified vehicle to get us to horse sex. That tells you how important the Triple Crown is.
Can you imagine a horse like Justify and out hanging out, as you said, in the field, and
let me know when. I'm good.
And he sees the horse trailers come rolling on in.
Let's go.
All right.
Well, they said what did Marty Smith say when we had on Friday? As when Justify rolled into the stable, all the horses neighed like, "Here comes the king."
Yeah.
And at this point, he should have said, "Son, you have no idea."
Yeah.
Because you're whinnying now.
Oh,
you're whinnying now, but wait till you understand what happens to me after I come out there and kick your butt on this race.
You're gonna have a new dad soon.
And the most important thing maybe was the fact that it was in different conditions. I mean, he won the Kentucky Derby in slop.
Yep.
He won the Preakness in absolute slop. And this was the call down the stretch as Justify did it for just the second time in 40 years.
A 16th to go. Justify is still there. Justify from Gronkowski. He's just perfect. And now he's just immortal. Justify is the 13th Triple Crown winner. Gronkowski was second. Hoffberg was third. And Vino Rosso was fourth. Justify has done it.
That the call on Westwood won, by the way. And again, I can't get into enough. Here comes Gronkowski.
I mean,
Gronkowski closing fast.
Did you see Gronk in the stand? You'd have thought he won the Triple Crown. And how cool that was. That's very neat, though, especially the way that horse started out.
Yeah, it's I would say the run by that horse was the most impressive part of that race. Great for Justify, but him going from dead last all the way up and walking it to second place was incredible.
Impressive.
Although now I can't get out of my mind the image of actual Gronk running after a horse on the track.
Well, by the way, isn't Gronk as the human sort of the epitome of what a Triple Crown winner is?
Oh, boy. Here we go.
I mean, he gets hurt or he's out there living his best life.
Yeah,
right,
I mean, this isn't that sort of the way this goes, right?
He would take my offer. If you told Gronk that,
he might take
Gronk
that
is
offer.
fearless because he knows there's no injury that can actually kill him, and he knows what the top end of that looks
Not
like.
going down that road.
Well, we sort of traveled down that road.
Did we?
We sort of been down that road. But again,
went through the barriers.
Congratulations to Justify. Where were you guys watching the race, by the way?
Home.
At home?
Yeah.
We were out at a local establishment, and I mean, yes, I know your point had happened 4 years ago with American Pharoah. The place was lit. I mean,
listen,
everyone was fired up.
But let's be honest. It wasn't as big as it was a couple of years ago.
Of course not.
I mean, it just wasn't.
No.
It wasn't, and I guess in my mind, it's already, I mean, we made the comparison to Russell Westbrook, but that's really what it was. We turn over news like this once the novelty has worn off it pretty quickly. And I saw that this weekend. I mean, the Triple Crown, albeit exciting in that moment.
Triple Clown, but
it was a Triple Clown.
Called it the Triple Clown.
Listen, I mean, we can get into that. The fact that Trey puts on white headphones and is just throwing lit around all willy-nilly
Let's
now.
Let's go, baby. Come on.
White headphone Trey is in the building here, but it just didn't have the same resonation for me this weekend. And it's because it's not a fault of the horse. It doesn't mean the accomplishment is any lesser, but the way that we consume things now, we would do this to anything. The Triple Crown's not unique to this. Russell Westbrook's not unique to this. So is it
getting harder and harder to please the sports fan?
Yes.
Yeah.
It's hard to please
What's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? Celebrate greatness.
But it is. We're not celebrating Russell's triple-double like we did last year.
Yeah, because he did it the year before.
Yeah, that's
I know, I get it.
I mean, we're celebrating the Capitals championship a lot more than we're going to celebrate Golden State's championship.
Well, that's an interesting question. What do you think was the best outcome of this weekend? Was it the fact that the Warriors have done it now 3 times in 4 years? Mm-hmm. Was it the continually drunk parade of Alex Ovechkin?
Unbelievable.
Who, by the way, going all in and doing what you should be doing when you finally win the Stanley Cup? Was it Rafa Nadal's continued excellence at the French Open? Or was it Justify? Where if you had to pick one of those things as being the thing,
the pinnacle of the weekend,
the pinnacle of the weekend, what would it be?
Good question.
I want an answer.
Okay, I'm going to think about it.
Yeah. I know my answer already.
What is it,
I don't know if it was one of those listed. Yeah.
What is it?
LeBron James punching that blackboard.
There's a whiteboard. No way there's a chalk.
That's what I mean, right? There's no way there's chalk blackboards in any locker room anymore.
Well, that's like when we talk around the water cooler. Nobody talks around the water cooler. They instant message you on their computers at work.
That's a good point.
It's just another way of getting to the same thing. So you think that's the big one?
Yeah, that's the big one because it's going to have the biggest ramifications. I think what led to that moment is going to be one of the bigger factors in determining where he goes from here.
And I don't agree as far as the hand being broken because his hand could have been, had the glove with all the stones on it. It still wouldn't have mattered.
The Infinity Gauntlet?
Yeah, the Infinity Gauntlet.
The glove with all the stones. Yeah, he was thinking Michael Jackson.
All I could come with up that quick, okay? I didn't think about it long
Why don't you go ahead and get in the phone booth and do that live read?
Yeah, you know what you should really do? You should put on the white headphones. You'd see things a lot clearer.
I'm not going down your guys' road. No.
White headphone trays, DMing people on the sly right now.
Like this.
Water coolers, man.
Let's go.
Nah, that ain't hip. That ain't lit.
That's not the way it plays. Golic and Wingo, presented by Progressive Insurance. Small business protection just got easier with more than 30 coverage options available. Progressive has you covered. More at progressivecommercial.com. All right, coming up, we got a modern-day dynasty. A superstar did something that we would crush a role player for doing. We'll get into all of that after this, Mike.
2 kids in here now.
Yeah, baby, let's go.
What's up, boy?
Everybody in the club getting tips.
Okay, all right, turn his mic off. Turn his mic off. Right now.
Oh, my God.
Hey, everyone. Mike Golic here. Support for the Golic Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030. To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com. Golic and Wingo on ESPN Radio and ESPN2, presented by Progressive Insurance. Wow. Cliff, you're a genius. All phone guests join us on the show, Pennzoil Performance Line. It is time for Straight Talk, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Best phones, best networks, no contracts. Okay, first of all, we were talking about this last segment.
Yes.
You couldn't come up with right away. You needed some time to simmer.
A little bit of time.
A little marinate in your brain.
A lot went on this weekend from justifying the Triple Crown, the Warriors getting their NBA championship title, Nadal winning the French, and Dustin Johnson, Alex Ovechkin living his perfect life. I'm giving mine to Kendall Ellis.
Huh?
Kendall Ellis, part of the 4x400
oh my gosh, did you
relay
see that?
Team from USC. Are you kidding me? Are you kidding me? What she did in the last leg. Now, this is everywhere, so if you haven't seen it, I don't know what you've been looking at. But the last event in the women's championship, 4x400. So for those that may not know, each one is doing a complete lap or a lap around the track. So she gets the baton, and they're like in 4th or 5th place. She's the anchor leg. And it was a bobbled handoff, by the way. And they're like between 4th and 5th. 200 meters in, she's up to 3rd. The stretch she gets to the end to just go ahead of Purdue to win it was it was one of the greatest comeback runs I've ever seen. And oh, by the way, that win gave the USC women the national championship by 1 point.
Unbelievable.
I mean, just an unbelievable run. So
Georgia thought they had it on lockdown.
Unreal. So she gets the win for me. That was an incredible comeback.
That's a very good. I mean, you haven't seen it. Basically, she was secretariating the entire field.
She really was.
And out of nowhere, she came down and caught her at the wire.
So a team relay came down to an individual, came winning it for the entire team to win the national championship. Just covered everything there. It was fantastic.
Well done. That is a very, very good suggestion. I can't fault you for that one at all. I couldn't fault you if anyone said, hey, Golden State doing it again. Look, I think it gets lost a little bit in the discussions with LeBron and everything else, just exactly what we're talking about the Golden State Warriors have done. 3 titles in 4 years. And the only one they lost is when they gave up a 3-1 lead against LeBron and the Cavs in 2016. So Steve Kerr was asked by Scott Van Pelt over the weekend how difficult this year was, and he alluded to the fact that, hey, look, we make it look easy, but it really isn't.
No doubt, no doubt. It was the hardest year of my short coaching career, 4 years, but this was the most difficult one for sure. We had typical team stuff that every team has, but I think it was more than that. It was just the grind of trying to do it again. You know this, but only a handful of teams have made the finals 4 years in a row in the history of the league. And so there's a lot of internal stuff that happens that as a coach you've got to try to navigate and move forward and keep the train running.
And I think there's a very good point here that gets lost in the discussion when you talk about the death lineup at the Hamptons 5, however you want to look at it. They have found a way in a league where everyone wants to be the man, that they have superstars that don't care whether or not they're the man. I mean, why isn't Kyrie on the Cavs anymore? He didn't want to defer to LeBron James. Why did Shaq leave the Lakers? Yeah. Kobe didn't want to defer to Shaq anymore. The Golden State Warriors have done maybe the hardest thing ever, and I know this sounds crazy because you look at that lineup. They're okay with not a lot of alphas not being an alpha, which is very rare.
Yeah, it is rare. And okay could be a relative term, too, because there may be some there that are simmering a little bit about it. But
they're winning, and they're okay with that.
And they're still together, though. At some point, it's going to break up for whatever the reason's going to be it money or people just going to move on or it's just going to end. I don't know when that is. We'll see another couple of years, probably. But to that, it's a good point. I mean, that's the reason Kyrie is gone. Now, again, Cleveland could have hung on to him and said, you don't have the right to go anywhere. If we want you to stay here, you have to stay here. But they traded him, and looking back, people say that may have been a mistake. But he wanted to be the alpha dog somewhere. And the same is exactly true for Shaq and Kobe. We all wonder where that could have gone. If Shaq and Kobe stayed together, what could have happened there? But it didn't happen. These guys do seem to, at least on the outside, all relish in the fact that, hey, we don't care. We're all really good players. We're all great players, and we all get along very well.
Yeah, that's the interesting part to me is when does that become combustible? Because Shaq and Kobe won 3 titles before that became combustible. Right. I think they did something similar to this. They lost 1 and won 3 in that 4-year span, and then these feelings started to come out. With the Patriots, we started to see this rear its ugly head this offseason in some way. And you wonder, will the rest of that, will guys just the normal contract situations, the things that cannibalize great teams before their time come into play, or will we get to see this on a long enough timeline to where this stuff creeps in? Because Steph Curry right now is a 3-time finals champion with 0 finals MVPs to show for it, and is a guy who what he has meant to the game right now gets talked about with the greats. But when it's all said and done, he's a guy who grew up in a basketball family, understands the way we treat things, has to know that his legacy at some point starts to have things chipped away from it when you don't have those accolades we can talk about later on.
Well, and that's the interesting thing, because he says it doesn't bother him, but you have to wonder on some level whether or not it does. Klay Thompson, by the way, who could be a star and a guy on a lot of places, was asked about it during the finals, and he said, look, I get paid a lot of money, and I win championships. I'm good. And Kevin Durant, by the way, who has the option to do whatever he wants this offseason, has already said we believe he's going to follow up with that. Hey, man, I'm going to stay here, and I'm going to stay with this team. So some of the things that have sort of been able to chip away at other things, these guys at this point are still not willing to go down that road and pull it apart.
Well, here's the other thing, and let's be completely honest about this. Only 2 of the 4 could go be an alpha dog somewhere else, right? That'd be Steph and Kevin Durant. Draymond Green's not that guy, and Klay Thompson's not that guy. You're not; those guys aren't going to another team, and you're saying that's the focal point of this team. We're going to build around it. Where with Steph Curry and certainly with KD, you could say that, right?
I think you'd have a better chance of being able to do that with Klay. I think those guys could go be the best player on a team somewhere. I think for the conversation we're having about how it affects this group, only Steph and KD matter in this.
Yeah. I mean, to the point about Steph and what he's done and what he hasn't been rewarded since the Finals MVP started being a thing, since they started handing it out. If you average 25 points per game for the winning team, you are the MVP 75% of the time. Steph Curry's done that 3 times and has yet to win.
I thought he might get this one this year when he put up 37. What was it, 37 in the closeout game? I thought, well, okay, we know what Durant did in Game 3, but what Steph did in Game 4, Durant in Game 1, we were saying, okay, we're going to need a little more Kevin Durant here. I thought Steph may have gotten it after Game 4, but it's something, and public, he's going to say it doesn't matter. It's not like he's going to come out and say, I should have got it, I should have one of those. But when you start doing the pros and cons column post-career for people, those things do start to matter to people.
Well, and to guys in that stratosphere, because Klay Thompson's saying that's all well and good, Klay Thompson's not judged in the same place. Kevin Durant can say that all he wants. He's got 2 finals MVPs. He's got the validation that he sought, and he is what we all describe as the best player on that team. For Steph Curry, who was handed the keys to the league that first year he won the MVP, you saw people start to give him the ball over LeBron James in that, to now be the point where he's the second fiddle on his own team and doesn't see that changing anytime soon. When does it wear thin for him is my question. Maybe it doesn't. Maybe he truly is that selfish, but man, we are selfless. Yeah, excuse me. But man, we are all human. We found that out with LeBron James. One guy that we thought was immune to any sort of, emotional display went and showed us all that he's a lot more like us than we gave him credit for. You have to wonder when that happens for Steph too.
So if Steph Curry never wins a Finals MVP award, does it change his perception in your mind? Or will it be changed by people like, oh yeah, I remember him, and he didn't win a Finals MVP?
Well, here's the thing with Steph. Steph's gonna be rated as, where is he going to be rated as a guard? Steph, I think, is going to go down as the greatest shooter the league has seen.
Yeah.
So not winning a Finals MVP is not going to change that. I think that's going to headline his paragraph outside of number of championships. But no MVPs in the finals, now you could start talking about when you're starting to rank guards and things like that.
He's going to get the Tim Duncan treatment, which is, we're very complimentary of him, but we remove him from the big conversations. We take Tim Duncan, best power forward of all time, and then we leave him over there. We don't bring him into the larger conversation about bigs in the NBA and where he fits in that stratosphere. True. We don't talk about him as players of his generation. We put him in a box, and then we put him to the side of this conversation. That's what's going to happen.
So Curry will be the greatest shooter.
Yeah, and the interesting thing in that comparison is their personalities are very similar. Tim Duncan is very happy to live in that box.
Tim Duncan was also well-liked because of his style of play and the way he conducted himself. People don't like Steph anymore.
Yeah, you never saw Tim Duncan do the shimmy.
Yeah. Well,
or do some of the
chewing on the mouthpiece. Yeah. People have gotten over Steph's act pretty quick, and Tim Duncan never really had that.
It has been amazing how people have somewhat turned on Curry a little bit.
He's doing the exact same things you did that you liked when it came in. So that's on you more than it is on Steph, in my opinion.
Hey guys, this is Mike Golic,
and this is Trey Wingo.
You ever wish you could wake up early in the morning and have donuts with your dad and us?
For Father's Day this year, you can. We're teaming up with Sport Clips Haircuts for a Dad's Day getaway. An all-expense-paid trip to ESPN, including a day spent with us on the show.
Plus, my son Junior, it is for Father's Day, isn't it?
Register for your chance to win online at sportclips.com/ESPN and make priceless memories.
No purchase necessary. See rules at sportclips.com/ESPN. U.S. only. Age 18 and up and 6/15/18.
Asking Brett this more. How many coaches received votes in this?
According to the NBCA, Coaches Association, 7 other coaches received votes in addition to Casey: Brett Brown, Mike D'Antoni, Nate McMillan, Greg Popovich, Quinn Snyder, Terry Stotts, and Doc Rivers.
Doc Rivers?
We're saying we have some integrity issues in the vote.
Wait a minute. Doc Rivers?
So look, we're trying to get to the bottom of this.
Doc Clippers?
Doc Clippers?
Doc from the Clippers? Doc Rivers from the Clippers?
Clip it. You were so close there. You were so close.
I'm so worked up.
Yeah, you got a little verklempt.
It gets crazy too because I rarely misspeak.
Yeah.
Hold on. Verklempt, that's old earbud Trey, all right?
No.
White earbud Trey doesn't say stuff like that.
Verklempt is still good. Listen, I got to respect who I am. I got to be true to my.
You're a new man today,
self.
Trey. Anyone watching on ESPN2 right now, anyone's going to be watching today, you're going to see white earbud Trey.
Let's do it.
Hip is with it.
Let's go. Golic and Wingo with you, and the NBA Finals are over. #sad. As we thought we might have a Game 5. #no. And LeBron James, after the loss on Friday, revealed that he's played the final 3 games of the NBA Finals after that 51-point outburst in Game 1, which ended up in a J.R. Smith not understanding time and scoreboard situation, with a broken hand, and here's how.
Self-inflicted, post-game after Game 1, very emotional, for a lot of different reasons, understanding how important a Game 1 is on the road for our ball club. What would that have done for us? The way we played, the calls that was made throughout the course of that game. And I had emotions on, the game was taken away from us. I had emotions of you just don't get an opportunity like this on the road versus Golden State to be able to get a game one. And, I let the emotions get the best of me and pretty much played the last 3 games with a broken hand. So that's what it is.
Okay, so there's a couple things to get in there. First and foremost, if this had been any other player besides LeBron James supposedly breaking his hand on a whiteboard, we have to think whiteboard now.
Yeah, sure.
Would we look at this completely differently? I can't believe that guy did that.
I mean, whether it's LeBron or JR, I don't care. We're talking, it's a dumb move. I mean, it's an emotional move. You sit there and say dumb, but emotions are part of the game. And to your point, Mike, what you said earlier, you find out he's human. You do have emotions that can get you the best of you, because a lot of times, outside of on the court, you see LeBron complaining about calls and not getting back on defense when he complained to officials, and that we've seen that about him. But emotion like that, the emotion that was on the bench after the regulation, after the mistake, and then the emotion of punching the whiteboard, for anybody, it's like you let the emotions get the best of you, but then you hit it. I don't really quite understand why you decide to come out at the end of that with the soft cast on the hand. Why don't you just leave it off, and why even were you going to bring it up at all? Now, unless it got out, whether he let it get out or it got out another way, but I'd have just thought, just keep hiding it.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things that I think if this were the NHL, we would be talking about this in an entirely different light.
He's got an upper body injury.
Yeah, well, but then at the end of all these series, you come out and you find out these guys are having surgery on this played through that. Like, we look forward to that in that setting. In this setting, it's going to be whatever you already felt about LeBron magnified.
Right.
If you're someone that glorifies LeBron James, this is, add this to his legacy. For those that doubt the toughness, he played this finals with, albeit a self-inflicted, but a broken hand nonetheless. But look at how much he cared. Look at the passion, all of that stuff. Or if you're against him. Or if you're against him.
Either way, wasn't going to make a difference. I mean, it's not like he played horribly, in game 2, 3, and 4.
By the way, that's SportsCenter brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. To win at basketball, you got to play great coverage, right? With Straight Talk Wireless, you're getting great coverage because they use the exact same 4G LTE towers as the big carriers, but for a lot less. Straight Talk Wireless, only at Walmart. Refer to terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
Nicely done. To your point about it affecting his play, it didn't. I mean, he had 51 points in game 1. Games 2 through 4, he averaged 28 points, shot 49%, was 3-11 from 3, averaged almost 11 assists and 9 rebounds.
Yeah.
So you can't say it affected the way he played. I mean, and that's the point. It's almost similar to the Terrell Owens situation, skipping the Hall of Fame. By the way, something happened over the weekend. We need to get into that.
Yes.
But the point is, whatever you thought about T.O., his decision at this point to forego the enshrinement ceremony, it's like it's confirmation bias. And I think that's similar to what we're seeing here with LeBron. However you feel about him, by him showing up saying, well, here it is, look at this, it's like either, I told you, or what a dude.
Well, I completely agree. Yeah. That is what your thought is of LeBron. I think he's one of the greatest, if not the greatest of all time.
He's either one or two.
There was still part of me that was like, you probably should have just left that soft cast off and just kind of let this thing go.
I'm more curious as to what got him there, because it can't just be the JR thing. Like, that to me seemed to be the frustration for the entire year coming out. For it to make LeBron act out in a way that is so un-LeBron, that's surprising with me, and that to me should resonate going into an offseason where his future there is not certain.
I agree, and maybe he thought that was the one chance to walk out of here a second time with another championship, and he realized it probably slipped away. All right, coming up, Devastation Monday, as we're calling it, has cast a very wide net, and it may have gotten to one of our guys.
Oh, boy.
And we're sad about that. Stay with us, but the headphones are awesome. If you haven't been receiving style tips from the clothing experts at Peter Millar, you are missing out. Look, if you enjoy golf like me, you know the name. If you don't, you should, because Peter Millar is all about quality, value, and style. It's the most comfortable clothing you'll ever wear. Right now, I'm wearing one of their performance sports shirts. What you'll love about these Peter Millar sports shirts is that they offer so much comfort and style no matter what you're doing. It looks like a button-down dress shirt, but feels as comfortable as a t-shirt. Plus, they are so easy to take care of. They don't need to be dry cleaned. They're machine wash and dry. They won't shrink, and you don't have to iron them. Total bonus. You'll never have to worry about what to wear on any occasion. Peter Millar is the go-to clothing for vacation, work events, golf course, and even working out. Put it on in the morning and never look out of place. You'll always have the right look. They are great for the golf course because they even have the sun protection built into the shirt. The performance sports shirt I'm wearing is the most comfortable shirt I've ever worn. And you'll say the same thing about everything you wear from Peter Millar. Right now, you can head over to petermillar.com/wingo to check out some of my Peter Millar favorites. Be sure to use my link and you'll receive complimentary shipping plus a free hat. That's Peter Millar, MILLAR.com/wingo. petermillar.com/wingo.
To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com. Listen up, people. We got a big favor to ask, and we promise it won't take too much of your time. You know our show's supported by some fantastic sponsors, right? Well, we'd love to hear your feedback. Head to ESPNpodcaststudy.com and fill out a short, anonymous survey. That's it. We swear. No more. Again, that's ESPNpodcaststudy.com. Golic and Wingo with you on ESPN Radio and ESPN News, presented by Progressive Insurance. Our phone guests join us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Mike Golic Jr., Trey Wingo here. I feel like Cliff is trying to calm us down, and I don't know why. I'm trying to get hyped on a Monday, and maybe it's because of I'm wearing the white headphones, and he thinks we're a little too pinned. Yeah, but I feel like Cliff's trying to bring us down, man.
I haven't seen anybody
pump us up.
I haven't seen anybody rip you that they rip Mike for wearing the headphones. Some people actually think during the show Mike is listening to music.
Oh yeah,
with those headphones and not paying attention to what's going on in the show. That's hilarious.
Yeah, no, yeah. I've had to, and I've made this disclaimer before, but this is merely the same thing you're wearing, the same earpiece, so I can hear our producers talk in my ear, so I can hear the sound back. But yeah, everyone's like, what podcast you listening to during the show? So, Trey, if you're not getting any pushback from this, it really is the ultimate example of the first one through the wall is always going to take the shrapnel. I have fallen on this one for you, and I'm now letting you live in a post-headphone world.
Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, I wasn't listening. What?
All right, there you
have it. That's exactly right.
I was watching and
listening
to a podcast.
Huh?
Yeah, I listened to a podcast. Get things going. Oh, that's how we roll here. Okay, so we started this conversation last hour, and you knew it was going to push over a little bit. The LeBron James situation where he admits or just comes out with that soft cast and says he had broken his hand in Game 1 after the 51-point outburst where they had the J.R. Smith gaffe and the George Hill missed free throw, by the way. That sometimes gets lost in the equation.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Make your free throws.
Yeah, and then maybe we're not having the conversation with J.R. Smith. He showed up in the post-game presser after he was swept in the finals, or the Cavs were swept in the finals with that soft cast, and talked about it. And you made the point, Mike, that hey, if you've gone through the last 3 games, and however long the series goes, 17 days to play 4 games in the NBA Finals, why show up with a cast now? Why say, oh well, see, here this is, and because all you're doing is allowing people to say, yeah, I told you about that dude. And that's sort of where Tim Legler went with his analysis after the game.
I don't like the fact that it came out the way that it did because if you're going to keep it secret, and I see why, because of the circumstance under which it happened, it's embarrassing. You don't want anybody to know that you could have affected your team moving forward. I just feel like if you're going to keep it secret, then keep it secret forever. Let's just keep it quiet because to me, to address that right after the game last night, I think even for LeBron, it's like you're giving him some sort of an excuse as to why this happened. And I don't think LeBron necessarily even wants that, but the information got put out there. I just would rather that not be something that even was talked about.
So I have to say this, so for Timmy to say that LeBron not necessarily wanting it. LeBron showing up at that presser with that soft cast on was going to bring this out.
Right.
It's not like anybody sitting there wasn't going to say, oh, LeBron, what's wrong with your hand? Yeah. So it was going to come out, and I agree with Legs. I mean, I'm not sure why you bring it out. We brought up the hockey reference. A lot of times with the hockey guys, we find out months later, oh, yeah, by the way, he played in that Stanley Cup with a busted foot. Oh, by the way, this probably would have come out at some point.
Yep.
And again, are we making, something out of really nothing? It wasn't going to affect the outcome of this series.
And it didn't affect his play. Again, If you weren't with us last hour, games 2 through 4, he averaged 28 points a game, shot basically 49%, 50%. Only 3 of 11 from deep, didn't take a lot of threes, but averaged almost 11 assists and 9 boards a game.
So was this more about LeBron just kind of wanting people to know what the circumstance was and it had the story of punching the whiteboard? Because I don't know I don't know if there's a good or bad, but there's no doubt he knew LeBron knows everything that's going on. He knew when he walked into that presser with that cast on, we were going to be that it was going to be asked about it, and this was going to come out.
And I'm also sure that he knew that, Legler saying it would have been nice if we just didn't talk about this forever. It was going to leak sooner than later. This stuff gets out.
It's like the hockey stuff, where I said it comes out later.
Well, that doesn't usually. I mean, we look forward to almost every time after those Stanley Cup runs, those runs of, all right, what was so-and-so playing with right after? That usually comes out pretty closely after, at least as far as I've remembered. So that part I don't begrudge as much. But yeah, he wanted people to know that he was hurt. Yeah. It's just, it's Ben Roethlisberger syndrome, where you don't question the toughness of a guy, but you also understand that they're going to enjoy the fact that all right, look what I was playing through. Look what in addition to already having to carry this team, look what else I did to have the degree of difficulty higher.
Let's put it this way. It's like showing up in suit shorts, okay? People are going to be talking about the suit shorts. You don't just think, I'm just going to walk in here with a coat and a tie and a dress shirt and short pants, and people will be like, no, that's normal.
Yeah.
You knew when you put out there with a cast that it was going to be a topic of discussion.
Yeah, and the NBA, and fashion, certainly they're right up there at the top, and I'd love to be able to pull off the shorts.
Oh, you could. I've seen your legs. I've seen your legs.
Couldn't do it.
Yeah, you wore shorts to work on Friday.
That's true, I did, because they had a cookout.
There you go. Actually, that was more barbecue more than cookout.
Barbecue, right.
See, that's a hill that Herm Edwards will die on.
Yeah.
The distance between cookout and barbecue. Cookout is burgers and hot dogs. Barbecue is what we had at your place.
Which was barbecue.
That's correct. By the way, that LeBron injury is literally what everyone's been talking about for the last few days. What everybody's talking about is brought to you by Lowe's. Pros in the know. Start with Lowe's. Go to lowesforpros.com for details. I love that read.
I know you do.
I don't know why.
I know you do.
I always feel like I'm from Baltimore when I say that.
So, we'll talk about that injury, but then we're going to talk about where LeBron's going to end up. That's going to be the focus of the next few weeks, months, however long it's going to take.
Which to me are kind of linked, right? Like, you broke LeBron James this season, more or less. The frustration that we saw on the sideline, even for LeBron James, who is pretty demonstrative in his reactions, even for him, that was so out of character that we all spent days diagramming it. For LeBron James to haul off and punch a blackboard, you're not going to convince me that was just J.R. Smith's blunder there and that realization. That was frustration from an entire season. That was frustration with the organization and the point that they were at, all finally getting to a point where he couldn't take that anymore. And if you're telling me that doesn't factor into how we now approach this offseason and his decision-making, I think that's a little bit misguided.
I agree. I think that was the frustration of him knowing we had a chance that if we had won game one, I could leave here with another championship and be a hero. And now, I think most people in this season and this series have realized how good he is and what he was playing with. So I don't think that's going to change much. But the fact that he could have gifted maybe the city one more championship and then rode out on the white stallion or a unicorn on a rainbow bed, would have been the way to go. But now that leads us to the next thing, is what happens next. And we all know we've been through this twice. In 2010 with a decision where he took his talents to South Beach, and then a few years later coming back to Cleveland. One thing I think that Brian Windhorst, our fine NBA insider, says with great certainty is do not expect this to be a drawn-out process like it has been in the past before.
If there was trust between Dan Gilbert and LeBron James, they could perhaps come to an agreement on what to do with that number 8 pick, who to select or who to trade it for. But because there is no trust and because there hasn't been a foundation laid, the Cavs are going to go blind. And in 2010, they went blind and got burned, and Dan Gilbert will not allow that again. He is going to make this offseason maneuvers with the belief that LeBron is not going to come back until he's told he is. And that may shorten the window with LeBron James here in Cleveland. That's a decision that Dan Gilbert made, and LeBron played a role in.
All right, so then the question becomes, how long before we know where he's going? What do you think the over-under is on how much this is going to play out over the next few weeks?
Well, what, July 1st? Is that when they can start talking to him? And now Cleveland can do something before that, but July 1st, is this going to be like a Kevin Durant? I'm not saying, that LeBron's going to the Hamptons and everybody's going to meet in there, but as quick as that was done on July 4th. So just a couple of days after you could start talking to him. Obviously, this is something from our standpoint we'd love to drag out, but from everybody else's standpoint, you'd love this thing to be over sooner rather than later.
And I think LeBron would too. He's a 33-year-old man now who I think is going to look at this decision a little differently. That's why it was interesting to hear Dwayne Wade come out and talk about this is going to be more of a lifestyle pick for LeBron James. He knows that he can take any team to where they need to go. So that's a guy who, and Dad, you know this, if you're talking to someone who is involved in a story, if you're talking to a player who's currently currently in the league, and you're saying something after that that's indicative of that conversation, it usually reflects some of that information you've got in there. Unless Dwayne Wade is running counterintelligence right now, you have to imagine that this statement comes from a place of he's had this conversation with LeBron James, who's one of his close friends. This, to me, is a bit of a window into what might be part of the decision-making process.
As I've always talked about with free agents, whether it's players or coaches, you have your reasons for going somewhere. Geography, championship money, whatever it may be. So for LeBron James, only LeBron James knows that. But I'll continue to say this. I still think he wants to win championships, but he has a lot more to look at than the last move in 2010 to 2018. Kids.
Yeah, he's got life issues.
Got a high school kid, and one of the best basketball players out there at his age, without question, but other kids as well in school to now move them. The one thing I will continue to say and stand by, and this is just my opinion, I do not believe there's a move to LA for the entertainment industry.
No.
I don't buy that part of it. You want to talk about family decisions to move, where you're going to go from a team aspect to win championships. I definitely get all that. As far as he's going to go to the Lakers or end up in LA for the entertainment industry, I don't buy that because it's LeBron James. I mean, he doesn't need to be in LA to be involved in that industry. I mean, that's just my opinion.
No, I think you're right. I mean, look, he is LeBron James, a universal figure in Akron. Okay, that's where he lives, in Akron. Or in Cleveland, so I don't think he may want to live in L.A. just to live in L.A.
Exactly.
Maybe it's a better spot for his kids out there.
Yes,
we've heard all the stuff
right.
about them.
Yeah.
Does he value his sons maybe going to St. Vincent, St. Mary in Ohio where he went to high school, or would he rather put them in a more competitive environment in California? Yeah. Those are things that could be very real factors with that geography.
That I agree completely.
And then the entertainment part it gets to be an added bonus. Right. It can be an ancillary player.
Right. But it's not going to be the driving force in any way, shape, or form. To that point, by the way, about the hand, our fine researcher, Brett, has come up with these numbers. Average field goal attempt distance. In Game 1, it was 12.5 feet. In Game 2, it was 10 feet. Game 3, it was 9 feet, and in Game 4, it's 4.7. In other words, he was trying to get to the rim a little better. Maybe that's one way the hand affected him.
Watching Game 3 especially, I remember saying LeBron's jump shot looked way off, and that was sort of the last ditch. That was the game that we thought they were going to win. The Cavs go back home, you get in this spot, and LeBron James' jumper looked off in a way it hadn't for most of the playoffs. And he'd waxed and waned as far as his jump shot's viability in later years, but this year it had been pretty consistent. I remember that game thinking, man, it looks off this game, so maybe that started to overtime in this. We're never going to know the extent.
No, we're not, because you just go to the Indiana series when the Pacers won the first game, and it was Game 2 of that series without a broken hand. What did LeBron do? Just drove to the basket all the time. He lived in the paint, so who knows? Only LeBron knows how much that hand affected him.
And I'm certainly at some point this offseason or heading into next season, we'll get a deeper dive into that, but there are other fish for him to fry right now. As for the idea of the mindset of where he is and what he wants to do and how much all these things shape his perception, not many people or players in the league know LeBron better than his former Miami Heat teammate and for a while his Cleveland Cavalier teammate in Dwayne Wade. And this is what Dwayne Wade had to say about LeBron's future on Chris and Karen with Chris Mannix and Karan Butler on Fox Sports Radio. Quote, "To me, I don't think it's a basketball thing. Obviously, you saw this year he could get to the finals no matter what the circumstances are. I don't really think for him the basketball decision is saying, oh, let me go team up with 3 All-Stars. I think at this point in his life, it's more so of a lifestyle thing of where my family is going to be the most comfortable, where I'm going to be the happiest at. Because basketball-wise, he's so great, he can bring along and take along whomever." And I do think that's part of the narrative with LeBron that has changed this season and this postseason run, because I've said it before and I'll say it again. To me, this is like Michael Jordan dragging along the pre-Scottie Pippen Bulls to an NBA Finals, which he was never able to do because he had to have that other guy. LeBron dragged these guys to the finals.
But again, if we're talking about our lifestyle, I know people are talking about the West. He's not going to the West and dragging a team to the finals through Golden State. I mean, right?
Yeah.
Unless maybe it's Houston. That could, San Antonio could be a destination where you could do it, but we keep talking about the lifestyle in California. He's not taking the Lakers. He's not going to the, again, my opinion, he's not going to the Lakers and beating Golden State. It's not happening.
He was close to make. We call this the most competitive sweep in NBA Finals history. He almost got this Cavaliers team to beat them. Whoever he puts together around him in Los Angeles, if we're to even take the parts that they've got now with Lonzo Ball and Kyle Kuzma, and we do the eventuality and say they add Paul George, is that team not better than the Cavaliers team from this year?
That team is better, but you're playing in Houston, or you're playing in the West against Houston. Against
I understand
Golden
that, but
State.
if you get in a series against Golden State, that team with LeBron James and a better group around him doesn't have a chance to beat Golden State in the Western Conference.
No, I don't think so. Absolutely not.
There's more, and you know what? There's more upside to it. And you're going to tell me again, he almost won game 1. We were close in game 2. Like, this was a guy that almost made this a series with a bad team around him. And if you make a better team around him, I don't know. To me, there's upside. There's potential in that. There's hope that he doesn't have in Cleveland.
There's potential, but I guess in my opinion, he can go to a team that's better equipped to actually win a championship, which I do think is still important to him.
Which would be in the East.
Should be in the East, or would be Houston or Philadelphia, one of those teams.
Here's the other thing that's interesting in this. And look,
but Houston, money-wise, might be very tough to do.
Correct.
Yeah.
Here's the other thing is we're talking about this, Golic and Wingo here, about what LeBron is going to do and when we'll find out. We believe it'll probably be inside of a month that we know exactly where he's going to be. The other issue that we're all assuming here, and it's easy to do this because we've seen it 4 straight years, teams just don't go to 5 straight finals. I mean, that just doesn't happen because of attrition. It's a little different, obviously, in football because there's a lot more. It's collisions, not contact.
Yeah,
NBA is a contact sport. Football's a collision sport. But we're all assuming that once again, Golden State will be able to do this. And Steve Kerr just alluded to it. We played the soundbite that he had with Scott Van Pelt, that it is difficult. And this was the most difficult of the 4 years to get to the finals. Look, things just don't always happen. I mean, the trees don't grow to the sky. It's at some point, this train in Golden State is going to stop, and it's going to get more difficult every year as the older they get and the more games they play and the attrition that goes along with it. It's really simple right now to say, they're going to keep doing this. I don't know. I don't know how long they're going to be able to do it.
Let me ask you one question.
Sure.
I'm going to take one of your paychecks, and I'm going to say, Trey, you have to bet it on
You're not taking any of my paychecks.
You have to bet it on Golden State making the finals or another team in the West making the finals. What are you doing?
I would still lean toward Golden State. All I'm saying is they're still the favorite, but there's every year – the Patriots were favored this year, and a backup quarterback with a Philadelphia scrappy team somehow found a way to beat them. It happens. Yeah. This thing just doesn't always go on like we think it's always going to go on.
No, this year is kind of the argument against that because Golden State was injured this year pretty often. They were apathetic pretty often.
Got taken to 7 by Houston.
They got taken to 7 by Houston, and that's the argument for, is you say, well, Houston got close, and that Houston team, it sounds like Chris Paul and them had that handshake agreement where this contract is likely going to get done there, barring anything unforeseen. So if you keep that core together, you've got something interesting that could potentially push Golden State. And then for LeBron James, I'm curious because we all keep saying the East. Do we think he's going to stay in Cleveland?
I don't. I'd love him. Believe me, I would love him to.
I get that, but you don't think he's going to stay in Cleveland?
Listen, his whole thing is to win a championship. If he stays in Cleveland with all the guaranteed contracts, now you can do some trades. I get it, but it's basically $5.5 million is what they can offer somebody. So I don't know. I don't know where you can build this to anymore without going to Philadelphia. But again, can they work that out? But I would love to see him stay in Cleveland, but I highly doubt he's going to.
Well, why don't we listen to LeBron himself?
Okay.
This is what LeBron was saying.
Yeah, I made the move in 2010 to be able to, play with talented players, cerebral players, that you could see things that happen before they happen on the floor, and your teammate can do the same. Throughout the course of a season, throughout the course of a game, throughout the course of a playoffs, throughout the course of the finals. So when you feel like you're really good at your craft, I think it's always great to be able to be around, other great minds as well, and other great ball players in my instance, and other great studies of the game itself. So that's never changed. Even when I came here, in 14, I want to try to surround myself and surround this franchise with, great minds and guys that actually think outside the box of the game and not just go out and play it.
So it sounds to me like he's saying I'm not staying in Cleveland.
To me, two of the biggest sound bites we've heard out of LeBron is that one, and when he was talking about how good Golden State was and the reasons that they were good. And both those sound bites are reasons and are issues that he doesn't have in Cleveland. He doesn't. How many NBA analysts are going to come out and say, man, that's not a high IQ team? But Barkley going is one of the dumbest teams around. I mean, and you hear those quotes from LeBron. To me, forgetting everything else, those couple of comments about IQ of why I went to Miami and about Golden State tell me why I think he wants to move on to get around other players that are closer to him in basketball IQ.
So the last time we did this with LeBron, the decision, was Miami, and anyone in the room could speak up on this, was Miami one of the teams that we thought LeBron James was really seriously going to go to? Was that something that was...
Oh yeah,
that was
Wade and Bosch were actively campaigning for him.
But that was like a top 5 that was in the grouping
because they had all played together at the Olympics. They bonded.
Let's all go together to Miami.
I'm only asking that because right now the choices all seem really obvious, right? Like if you're talking about staying in the East and we're writing off Cleveland at this point. It's Philadelphia or it's Boston. Like, there aren't two other teams that meet those criteria.
Kyrie would love that.
I don't think it's Boston because of the Kyrie.
So then it's Philadelphia or bust. Like, it rarely seems like these things are this obvious,
It's Cleveland
right?
or Philadelphia. Occam's razor, right?
Well, yeah. As you say, if you're going to whittle that down, and if you're talking about his standards, there's one place that applies then, and that's Philadelphia that falls into that. So is it really that simple? Is it this cut and dry? I mean, are we thinking Greg Popovich is going to let this slide that easily? Are we thinking it's going to be this simple? Because right now it seems too simple.
If in the East, I think it's simple. But then the question becomes
the West. Houston. How about LaMarcus Aldridge, Kawhi Leonard, and LeBron James on San Antonio?
Not too shabby.
What is that?
That's what I mean. But you're still in the Western Conference,
right? But it's a better team. Let me ask you this.
An interesting word.
Yeah, that's the one.
So let me ask you this: of these 3 available, which has the best chance of beating Golden State? Rank them. If he went to Houston with the players that are there, and again, money's going to play
a stretch money-wise.
It is definitely a stretch. Houston, San Antonio, the Lakers. The Lakers is third there.
San Antonio.
We know, right?
San Antonio by far.
The Lakers is third. San Antonio, it's if Kawhi Leonard, if you convince him to come back.
Well, that's the whole thing. Yeah. I'm saying it's not going to happen unless you can corral those players together because that's what we're looking for here.
But let's be honest about one thing here. I agree with you. I think Philadelphia seems to make the most sense in the Eastern Conference, and they've already started the campaign. Remember when he went back there? They said complete the process, come here. But when you hear him talk about basketball minds.
Yeah.
The first name that comes to mind is Greg Popovich every time.
Yep.
Right? Every time. That's that guy, unless you're going to try and somehow find your way onto the Golden State squad and what Steve Kerr's been able to do with those guys. When you hear basketball mind from him time and time again, Greg Popovich is the first thing that pops into my brain. Golic and Wingo is presented by Progressive's Home Insurance. Get your quote at progressive.com today. Coming up, something happened over the weekend for only the second time in 40 years. But are we over it? Well, one of us is. But should we be over it? We'll get into that. And we'll have a very special guest to talk about that.
Hey everyone, Mike Golic here. Support for the Golic Wingo podcast comes from our friends at Rocket Mortgage by Quicken Loans. Chances are you're confident when it comes to your work, your hobbies, your life. Rocket Mortgage gives you that same level of confidence when it comes to buying a home or refinancing your existing home loan. With Rocket Mortgage, you can apply simply and understand fully so you can mortgage confidently. To get started, go to rocketmortgage.com/Mikes. Equal housing lender, licensed in all 50 states, NMLSconsumeraccess.org number 3030. To give batters a different look, pitchers throw a changeup.
Your idea of a different look is sunglasses.
That's true. But La Quinta Inns and Suites is really taking the different look thing to a new level.
Definitely a major league makeover, starting with a bolder, brighter lobby full of comfortable spaces to let you settle in.
Or chill out in front of a big flat screen like Wingo would.
Oh, you know it. It's a changing La Quinta look to help you get in the zone and look sharp when you hit that big meeting.
Prepare to win at business with La Quinta Inns and Suites.
Book now at LQ.com. Jerry Bailey of NBC Sports, a retired American Hall of Fame jockey, won the Belmont Stake twice among his 5,893 wins.
Wow.
That's the beauty of horse racing, man. You can win a bunch of times, and Jerry did that. Jerry, thanks for being with us this morning. Second time in 4 years we've seen the Triple Crown. Can you just explain, first of all, how significant the idea of Triple Crown winners are to your sport?
Well, look, everybody in America knows the Super Bowl, but we have a winner every year.
Right.
NBA Finals, we have a winner of that every year. But the Triple Crown, we have a winner of the Derby, Preakness, and Belmont. But the Triple Crown, it's a lot harder to do. And, yes, it's a 2nd and 4, but I think the other stat you guys just brought up, 2nd and 40, is more appropriate. It's extremely hard to do. I came close a couple of times, but it's insanely hard.
So along those lines, sorry, Jerry, for interrupting, 2 in the last 4, does that mean anything to you going forward that it will happen at a quicker pace than what we have seen from 40 to a couple of years ago?
Yeah, well, if you look, Mike, historically, there was a group of them in the 40s. There was a group of them, 3 of them in the 70s. And my colleague Randy Moss on NBC Sports predicted 6 or 7, 8 years ago that we would have him again, and we would have him in bunches. And I think that's maybe how it goes. So it wouldn't surprise me if we had another one, in the next year or 2, 3, or 4.
Got Gronk running in the race, Randy Moss doing analysis.
Yeah,
this is some Hall of Fame level stuff here.
Nicely done.
Talking to Jerry Bailey on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. So how does Bob Baffert fit into all this? He's the trainer now. He's got the second horse now that he's had win the Triple Crown. What about him and his process and training under him has led these horses to this kind of success?
It's pretty phenomenal. A couple things here. He does this with about 100 horses in training, and guys like, I don't know, Pletcher and Asmussen and a couple of other big guys, they have like over 200 horses in training. So he's doing it with far fewer horses. But I think the interesting thing about Bob Baffert is he can do something that most other trainers haven't been able to seem to do, and that's keep these horses peaked for an extended period of time. Most trainers and horses will peak getting into the Kentucky Derby because that's the most important one to get into.
Right.
I think if you guys would agree that if there's any one race you've heard of, it's the Kentucky Derby. And a lot of the trainers spend their energy getting there and winning it. But Bob seems to have a way of winning it without maybe being at the horse's best and then keeping him on that plateau for another 5 weeks.
Yeah, to that point, I mean, he's had a bunch of chances where it's sort of come up short in the Triple Crown at the Belmont, which is clearly the toughest race of all three because it's the longest and the last. As Jerry Bailey, NBC Horse Racing analyst and Hall of Fame jockey, joins us on the Shell Pennzoil Performance Line. Get triple action protection for optimal engine performance with Shell V-Power Nitro Plus Premium Gasoline, and certainly optimum performance is what we saw out of Justify. Were there any concerns for you, Jerry, because of the weather that he was going to run the longest and the toughest of the three races in? Because he won in the slop in the Kentucky Derby. He won in the fog and the slop at the Preakness. Was there any concern going in that maybe this is just a really good mutter and like a really good day might have not been the best thing for him?
No, because he won his first 3 races on dry racetracks, which were actually, if you look at the speed numbers, the higher the number, the better the performance. His numbers were higher than the 2 mud races, the Derby and the Preakness. So, I mean, there was a lot of theory that, hey, maybe he doesn't even like the wet, but he's winning anyway, the muddy tracks. So let's see what he can do on another dry track. So he's undefeated on every kind of track.
Wow. Talking to Jerry Bailey, Hall of Fame jockey. Let's talk about that side of it. Mike Smith is a 52-year-old jockey, an incredible career he's had. Now he gets a Triple Crown. So take us on the track where we will never be. We see the horse run and we talk about Justify. Talk about Mike Smith and his involvement and what made him so important to this.
Well, by Mike Smith's own admission, and I would agree with this, he likes to just let the horses do what they want to do. More of a passenger than a pilot. And he says, I just try and stay out of their way, which for a horse like Justify, who's got natural speed, he doesn't have to be on the lead. He hasn't won all of his races on the lead the entire race, but he runs up pretty close. So Mike just lets a horse do what he wants and kind of just is a good passenger, but he's very smart. He never gets in a hurry. He never gets ruffled. I mean, you could see him after the race galloping out. He wasn't almost jumping off cheering. He's a pretty cool cucumber, and there's a lot to be said for that, especially with that much pressure on going 1.5 miles, which, by the way, guys, we don't do that very often at all. As a matter of fact, on the dirt, there's grass racing too. You can see the grass on the infield inside the dirt course, but on the dirt, which is a little bit different strategy, we only do it 1 weekend a year, and that's the weekend right there, this one we just had.
So now going forward off of this, how unusual is it? Bob Baffert said that Justify is going to take some time off, but then continue to race again after this. Is that unusual, or is this pretty par for the course, especially for, a Triple Crown winner with a much smaller sample size?
Well, we've seen both ways. We've seen Triple Crown horses that lost the Belmont and still just retired because they become so valuable at stud. The reports are that he was sold for $60 million with a kicker for winning the Triple Crown, anywhere from $15 to $25 million. So you can see how valuable he is, but those are just for breeding rights. So I don't know how the deal is structured, but I would think if he follows Pharaoh's path, American Pharoah, who Bob Baffert won the Triple Crown with in 2015, that he would race the rest of the year, and there's even a chance he could race into January of next year because there's a race down here in Florida called the Pegasus, which is $16 million. It's the world's richest race. And then go to stud. But I would think that this year, with the possibility of a race in January next year, would be the extent of it if he races, and I think he will race the rest of the year.
Well, let's just put it this way: no matter what he does the rest of this year, his life is about to be pretty good. I
think he got the memo that if I run faster than everybody else,
yeah,
I got a lot of good things coming my way.
Exactly. So at this point, we all want to be Justify about it. As Jerry Bailey is with us, NBC Horse Racing analyst and our Hall of Fame jockey. But I have to ask, because every time I see a Triple Crown winner, and especially with the Belmont Stakes, I always go back to Secretariat and what he did at 1973, winning that race by 31 lengths. And, people, sometimes in this world that we live in, if it didn't happen 5 years ago, it didn't exist. And just so you put it in your perspective, because the record that still stands of Secretariat in 73, he won in 2 minutes and 24 seconds flat, or 4 seconds faster than Justify ran today. Is there any doubt in your mind that Secretariat was the horse of all time?
Well, he's America's favorite. I know that, and that's the most brilliant performance I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
I wasn't there in person, but I was a kid and watching it on TV. But I don't think there's any question, at least among people on the racetrack, that was probably the best 3-year-old that we've ever seen, and that one singular Belmont performance was by far the best Belmont performance.
All right, Jerry.
That's unbelievable.
Jerry, I have to go back to financials one more time, because I don't know enough about racing in this to ask. So basically, the $75 million for stud fees that Justify can get, to me, I would never put the horse on the track again. So that's why I ask you. Justify is going to race more. Could Justify hurt his stud fee rates if he loses a race here or there anymore? I mean, I truly don't know the answer to this. So
really could.
Would you take the chance? What would you do if it were your horse?
Well, it depends on how the deal is structured. So the deal was made before the Belmont. And if the deal says the current ownership, because they're owned by at least 4 different entities, only 2 of those entities own the horse for breeding purposes. So those are the ones that share in the windfall. The other couple of entities only own the horse for racing purposes, and they're the ones that would benefit by him racing more. But to the broader question, there's a risk for running him, but I'm sure he's insured. I don't know how much they have him insured for, but there's fertility insurance, there's life insurance, so there's a lot of factors in play. But the basic answer to your question, yes, there is a risk running this horse, but they're going to depend on Bob Baffert's opinion to say, hey, this horse is very sound. You're not risking him. There's not holes out there on these tracks. They're safe. So the chance is minimal, but yes, there's a chance.
Well, yeah, there's a chance, but either way, it's going to work out. Yeah. That much we've established, and it was a great race. It was fun to watch it and see it happen again. Jerry, we appreciate you being with us this morning and giving us some valuable insight. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Jerry.
You got it, guys. Talk to you.
Jerry Bailey, NBC Horse Racing analyst and Hall of Fame jockey. That was a really good question.
Well, again, the horse doesn't know how much he's making for his owner. The horse is just going to enjoy himself.
The horse knows that life is good.
Going to get some oats.
I have some questions for Jerry. A lot of qualifiers when talking about Secretariat.
Yeah.
Best 3-year-old horse, America's favorite horse. Doesn't sound like Jerry was quite as sold on Secretariat as you tried.
Well,
I agree.
A lot of people think Seabiscuit is one of the great horses of all time, and he never won in any of those races because he came to be a great horse after his third year running.
Sounded like Jerry was baiting us to ask him who his favorite horse was. We missed him.
Well, we'll get Stanzik to ask him. He'll give us the answer. We'll have him do that. Yeah, get on that, Stanzik. Thanks. If you haven't been receiving style tips from the clothing experts at Peter Millar, you are missing out. Look, if you enjoy golf like me, you know the name. If you don't, you should, because Peter Millar is all about quality, value, and style. It's the most comfortable clothing you'll ever wear. Right now, I'm wearing one of their performance sports shirts. What you'll love about these Peter Millar sports shirts is that they offer so much comfort and style no matter what you're doing. It looks like a button-down dress shirt, but feels as comfortable as a t-shirt. Plus, they are so easy to take care of. They don't need to be dry cleaned. They're machine wash and dry. They won't shrink, and you don't have to iron them. Total bonus. You'll never have to worry about what to wear on any occasion. Peter Millar is the go-to clothing for vacation, work events, golf course, and even working out. Put it on in the morning and never look out of place. You'll always have the right look. They are great for the golf course because they even have the sun protection built into the shirt. The performance sports shirt I'm wearing is the most comfortable shirt I've ever worn. And you'll say the same thing about everything you wear from Peter Millar. Right now, you can head over to petermillar.com/wingo to check out some of my Peter Millar favorites. Be sure to use my link and you'll receive complimentary shipping plus a free hat. That's Peter Millar, MILLAR.com/wingo. petermillar.com/wingo. American Pharoah, the Triple Crown winner in 2015, is living the life.
I'm just reading from this article.
Yeah.
He'll have sex up to 3 times a day. And the quote is, they enjoy it quite a bit. He now commands $200,000 per cover.
Beforehand and afterward, there's not much room for cuddling, foreplay, or breakfast.
$200,000? No cuddling, no nothing? No licking, no nuzzling, no cuddling?
Just call her an Uber.
I mean, come on.
Devin in my ear just says, we're back here Googling horse sex jokes.
Okay.
Go ahead and read the joke you found.
Stable relationships are for horses.
That is SportsCenter, brought to you by Straight Talk Wireless. Let me tell you what, we missed a golden opportunity to ask Jerry Bailey. Not enough people talk about. Is there jockey sex for a Triple Crown winner?
Oh, come on.
Turn your
Thank you.
Thank you. Professional.
That's the 3rd time this morning. Keep crying out loud.
Keeping count, huh?
Yes, because we're the pettiest show in America.
I say you guys trying to railroad my jockey sex joke with that kind of tomfoolery. When we grow up, all right? Okay. That was Straight Talk. To win in basketball, you got to play great coverage, right? With Straight Talk Wireless, you know you're getting great coverage because they use the exact same 4G LTE towers as the big carriers, but for a lot less. Straight Talk Wireless only at Walmart. Refer to terms and conditions of service at straighttalk.com.
All right, Golic and Wingo here with you, and don't forget to miss Warriors coach Steve Kerr with Zach Lowe on Monday evening's Low Post podcast. Find it on the ESPN app, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you find your podcasts. So we've been talking a lot about what happens with LeBron this hour and this morning, and also what went on with the horse race and the Triple Crown over the weekend. One thing that we haven't talked enough about is, unfortunately, it could be the end of the road for our guy.
I want you to show the way.
Angels pitcher / hitter / everything Shohei Ohtani's got a grade 2 sprain of his UCL. He'll be reevaluated in 3 weeks. The team said the rookie right-handed pitcher had a platelet-rich plasma and stem cell injection on Thursday after complaining of elbow stiffness a day early. The GM Billy Epler said, we're hopeful he can avoid Tommy John surgery, that this is completely treatable with the biological prescriptions that the doctors recommend. But, Mike, you hear Tommy John, and you know that if it goes down that road, we may not see him for a while.
That's exactly right. Grade 2, again, grade 3 is a complete tear. That's the rarity, by the way, to completely tear the thing. A lot of it is operation off of grade 2. A lot of bands in that UCLA. Some have torn. They'll decide. The PRP, again, is the blood spinning where you get the injection. The platelets have what they call growth factors in it to help the healing. Stem cells, your own stem cell, you spin and inject into the area for healing as well. It's a possibility he could still hit. If they wanted to not have the surgery, he could still bat because he bats lefty, and they said on that right elbow would be less strain with that lead arm. But obviously, if he had the surgery, he'll be out a while.
Well, to that point, Pedro Gomez, our fine reporter, said last night on Dickerson and Hood on ESPN Radio, not only is it likely this way, but if it goes down that way, we may not see him for a long, long time.
At this point, judging by the people I've talked to, it does not look good. It would be almost a minor miracle if he is able to resume pitching this year. The belief is that it may very well be Tommy John surgery. And if it is, let's not forget we're already in June. It's about a 15-month recovery period. So that means he's not going to pitch the rest of this season or, in all likelihood, any of next season as well. So we would not see him again until 2020.
Well, you want to talk about a buzzkill.
Yeah, others have made it off the treatment, though. Tanaka is through
Masahiro Tanaka. Stefania Bell is one of our injury experts here, put a great article up on ESPN.com that kind of details a lot of the points. And that was one of the things she tried to say is that with this PRP therapy, with the stem cell therapy, and then the subsequent rehab off that now, there have been guys that have come back without the surgery. It's about, I think they did the stats on it. I saw this on Stats and Info this morning. About 48%. There have been 33 cases of this, and I think 16 have ended in Tommy John surgery.
But here's the other side of it is pitchers just get shut down and see if it can heal.
Correct.
Do you keep him out there to hit? He can still add that part to your team.
Well, that goes to what do you believe his long-term future is? Do you think he's going to be a future ace in your rotation or a guy that you will spot start when you need him and then have him swing the bat? Because that becomes a philosophical question.
You know what he is? He's the future of your organization. Yeah. So you guard that. You don't take any of those unnecessary risks.
And if this is the end of him for a while, then you know what? He hit more homers 6 than he gave up 5.
That's true.
So congratulations to him. All right, coming up, just how good is Rafa Nadal? And are we not talking enough about what he's doing? Stay with us.